Now this here is pure body horror. It is flawed in a few areas. You know, you start leaving with some questions, more questions than answers. But I was entertained. I'd go to the movies and watch this again. Hello everyone, my name is Max Aaron James. This is a review of the movie The Substance, written and directed by Coralie Fargeat. I know I'm butchering that last name. It is about a celebrity on the back end of her career who is seeing, what really goes on in Hollywood, although she probably, we can assume, experienced it throughout her career, but never herself, I guess more so witnessed it opposed to experienced it, is now experiencing it, being she's considered out of her prime because she is not the conventionally attractive woman who is between 18 and 30 and is not appealing to the male gaze as much as maybe she was in her earlier years. She accepts being a part of this experiment and ends up kind of duplicating herself. I would not necessarily cloning, getting a younger, quote unquote, better version of herself. And they must share this life that they have. But of course, they end up both fighting for it and things go a bit crazy. This celebrity that we assume, based off what we see, even the posters that we see, that her stardom started off with a fitness show and she had a pretty successful career with just this fitness show. She ended up with The Star on Hollywood and got an Oscar. And you wonder, how did she get an Oscar? Unless she was in a movie, you would assume she had to have been in a movie, maybe as a supporting role, or she produced something, directed something, wrote something to get an Oscar. Assume she's probably won a lot of Grammys. I mean, this is a fitness star. Like, she runs a fitness show and is like the top celebrity, one of the top celebrities in this universe, in this world. So we assume that here, there's not much really to watch on television. Now, with all that said, I am being facetious because that stuff doesn't really matter when it comes to the quality of this movie. You don't have to take it that serious or that literal. It did not bother me. I just thought it was pretty funny that this fitness show celebrity is at the level that we assume other celebrities of major films are. We have Demi Moore playing Elizabeth, one of our leads, I would say the main lead, and Moore does fantastic. I love her performance. I really like seeing her on screen. It was nice seeing her take on a role like this and being given an opportunity to play a character like this in a film like this. We have Margaret Qualley, who plays Sue, which is Elizabeth's duplicate or copy, and she does pretty good. I think they work relatively well off each other. I think my biggest issue here is character development. Throughout the movie, it felt like we did not know or understand enough about Elizabeth's life to really connect. And then when we get introduced to Sue, it felt maybe they were relying on us basing Sue off the personality of Elizabeth. But as the movie progresses, it seems that they're becoming their own individual people. And that's all I'll say on that. Just a lot of character development was missing, and I feel they could have done better with it for me to really connect, because it really felt I was too much on the outside of this world. The movie does lean a bit too much into the comedy element in the final act, but still, I applaud them for the final act because, my goodness, that was real body horror. It reminded me of the film Society from 1989. It was bloody, it was disfiguring, disgusting, and this whole movie did not take itself seriously. That's something to really note, is that this movie understood what it was for the most part and did not try to lean too heavy into the themes or message that it was presenting, and did not pull back on what it wanted to do. And I like that. You have Dennis Quaid here, who plays a caricature in this surreal, ridiculous world and kind of presents what is, I think a lot of us think a lot of men probably are, especially in those positions in Hollywood, in a certain aspect or part of Hollywood. With that said, I feel I know more about Quaid's character, the man, and other male characters, much more than our two female leads in this movie, about a lot of patriarchal elements, about ageism and sexism and objectifying of women and taking advantage and focusing on the male gaze. And you end up leaving this movie with more questions and answers. There are just very clear narrative mistakes here. Back to the ending though. The body horror here I think was very well done. I love the practical effects. There is some CGI here, but they did take time to really use practical effects, practical makeup. The blood scene was fantastic. I do not recall the marketing pushing or showing that this was body horror, and I've only seen the trailer maybe twice, which I think is pretty smart. Here, this movie really delivers on that promise, even though I'm not sure if it promised it. The ending was wild, goofy, bloody, ridiculous, and really it can potentially make or break the audience or the viewer, especially if you were very much invested in this movie to the very end. This could end up making you change your mind, or it can really reel you in like it did me and make you really enjoy this movie. And yet when I walk away from it, I recognize there are so many issues and so many questions I still have and things that are major flaws. Let me put it this way. This movie, I think, doesn't have as many issues as many other films. I think a lot of the problems here you can overlook, or they're just not enough for you to really break down this movie. However, of these flaws, some of them are pretty major to the narrative, to the main plot, and end up kind of leaving you, as I said before, with more questions than answers. And because of that, I have mixed feelings about this movie. Anyway, if you've seen it, what did you think about it? Did you enjoy it? If you're into body horror, I think you may really enjoy this movie, or at least appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care of each other, check up on one another, make sure you check up on yourself, and remember, potential has no limit.